Today, March 28th, something incredibly powerful is unfolding in the sky above you. The full moon is rising in Libra at 7 degrees, forming an exact opposition to the sun in Aries at 7 degrees. And this isn't just any full moon. It's happening at a degree that I believe is going to crack open the deepest relationship wounds so many of us have been quietly carrying. Wounds about fairness, about being truly seen, about whether we've been giving too much and receiving too little. If you've been feeling this strange tension lately, like something in your relationships is screaming for resolution, like the scales have been off for way too long, there's a reason for that. You've already been feeling the pressure of this lunation building for days, but here's what really stopped me in my tracks. While this full moon is going to touch everyone, there are 3 specific signs that are positioned to experience total, life-reorienting liberation today. I'm talking about the kind of clarity where your oldest patterns around peacekeeping, self-erasure, and the fear of conflict, all of that finally, permanently cracks apart. And if you're one of these 3 signs, stay with me, because what I'm about to tell you could completely reframe everything you've been experiencing in your relationships lately. I'll tell you exactly which signs are being freed and why a little later. But first, I really need you to understand what is actually happening today. Because this isn't just the moon being full. I believe this is a cosmic reckoning between who you are and who you've been pretending to be for the sake of keeping the peace. The portal is open right now, and it has been building toward this moment for weeks. So here's what most people completely miss. These astrological events don't happen in isolation. Today's full moon in Libra is the peak of a cycle that has been building all month long. And if you've been feeling emotionally raw, restless, or like some old relationship dynamic has suddenly become impossible to ignore, that's not a coincidence. That's this lunation doing its work. Libra is the sign of balance, partnership, and justice. But underneath that graceful exterior lives one of the most complex relationship wounds in the Zodiac, the wound of self-erasure. Libra energy desperately wants harmony. It wants everyone to be okay. And sometimes, far too often, that need for peace comes at the expense of the self. The Aries sun sitting directly across from this moon at 7 degrees is not letting that slide today. Aries is fire. Aries is the self. Aries says, you matter, your needs matter, your identity matters. And right now, with the sun burning at 7 degrees Aries in exact opposition, it is pulling the truth right out of the shadows of this Libra full moon. This is the moment where the 2 sides of the axis face each other directly. Me versus we, self versus other, independence versus compromise. And that confrontation, as uncomfortable as it might feel, is exactly what so many of us need right now. The tension you've been feeling, that is the cosmos forcing the conversation that keeps getting postponed. The discomfort in your chest right now, that's the truth asking to finally be acknowledged. But here's where it gets even more layered. There's a whole cosmic architecture supporting this exact moment, and I think it's worth slowing down to appreciate how intentional this all feels. 7 degrees. That specific degree on the Aries-Libra axis is deeply tied to themes of initiation, confrontation, and the courage to stand in your own truth. The number 7 in astrology carries a frequency of reflection, of seeing things as they actually are, rather than as we wish they were. So this full moon isn't just illuminating your relationships, it's illuminating you inside those relationships. It's asking, have you been honest? Have you said what you actually feel? Or have you been performing harmony while quietly hollowing yourself out? And the moon in Libra, at its fullest, is pulling up everything that hasn't been balanced. Every time you said it's fine when it wasn't fine. Every time you swallowed a need so someone else could feel comfortable. Every time you chose the relationship over yourself and then quietly resented it. That is all surfacing today, right now, in real time, as you're watching this. And I want to be honest, this opposition energy can feel destabilizing. Full moons in Libra often bring relationship moments to a head, conversations that can no longer be avoided, realizations that have been sitting just below the surface for months, maybe years. But here's what I've come to understand about this axis. The Aries-Libra opposition is not asking you to choose between yourself and your relationships. It's asking you to stop treating those two things as if they're in competition. The real healing available today is the recognition that honoring yourself is the foundation of every healthy relationship you will ever have. You cannot pour from a vessel you've spent years draining in silence. Today, the full moon is giving you permission to refill it. All right, the 3 signs getting the most powerful liberation today: Libra, Aries, and Cancer. Now let me be clear. This full moon touches everyone, but these 3 signs are positioned in a way where the breakthrough isn't just possible, it's practically inevitable. There's a specific astrological reason for each one. Let me walk you through it. If you're a Libra, this is your personal reckoning. Libra sun, moon, or rising. I need you to really hear this. Today's full moon is happening directly in your sign. The moon is sitting right on top of your identity, your sense of self, your first house energy. This is as personal as it gets. And here's the thing about being a Libra right now. You have spent so long being the person who holds it all together, the mediator, the one who smooths things over, who considers everyone's feelings, who weighs every word before speaking it. You are exhausted, aren't you? Even if you haven't said that out loud, even if you've told yourself you're fine. Chiron has been doing its slow, painful work in Aries, the sign directly opposite yours. And for Libra, that opposition has meant something very specific. It has meant watching your sense of self get challenged by every relationship you've entered. It has meant asking, where do I end and where does everyone else begin? Today, with the full moon in your sign and the Aries sun opposing it at 7 degrees, I believe that question gets answered, not in a way that destroys your relationships, but in a way that finally gives you a self to bring into them. The love wound for Libra is almost always about disappearing, about shrinking, accommodating, adjusting so constantly that one day you look in the mirror and don't recognize who's looking back. But today, that cycle is breaking. This full moon is shining a light directly onto you, not your partner, not the dynamic, not what the other person needs, you. And what I believe happens when a Libra finally steps into their own light is extraordinary, because your natural gift for connection, for beauty, for creating genuine harmony, none of that disappears. It just finally gets to exist alongside a self that you actually respect. If you're a Libra watching this, I want to hear from you in the comments, because I think today is the day you stop asking for permission to have needs. If you're an Aries, your fire becomes a foundation. Aries sun, moon, or rising, your experience of today is different but equally seismic. The Aries sun is sitting at 7 degrees right now, directly in opposition to the full moon in Libra. And what that means for you is that your sense of self, your identity, your drive, it's all being held up to the mirror of relationship. You've been burning with something lately, haven't you? This restless, urgent feeling like you need to move, decide, act. That's your sun energy in full activation. But the Libra moon across the axis is asking you to pause for just a moment, not to dim your fire, but to ask, where has that fire been burning you, and where has it been burning others? The Aries wound around relationships often shows up as an all-or-nothing pattern, total intensity and then total withdrawal, the desire for freedom clashing with the desire for real intimacy, the frustration of wanting to be chosen fully and unconditionally by someone who can actually keep up with you. Today, with this exact opposition activated at 7 degrees, I believe you're getting a moment of profound relational clarity. Who in your life actually matches your energy? Who demands that you shrink? who celebrates the full intensity of who you are. This full moon in Libra is doing something powerful for Aries specifically. It's showing you the relationship patterns you've created because of your wound, not in spite of it. And with that awareness comes something you don't often experience, the ability to choose differently from a place of stillness rather than reaction. You're not just healing today, Aries. You're becoming strategic about your heart, and that is a completely different level of power. If you're a Cancer, your emotional truth comes home. Cancer Sun, Moon, or Rising. Today's full moon is activating your 4th and 10th house axis in a way that I think is going to shake loose something you have been sitting with for a very long time. The Libra full moon lands in your 4th house, and the 4th house is home, roots, the emotional foundation you return to when the world gets too loud. For Cancer, this is sacred territory. And right now, that sacred space is being fully illuminated. What has been living in the basement of your emotional world? What have you been making room for in your private self that you haven't been brave enough to say out loud? Cancer's love wound is one of the most layered in the Zodiac. It usually looks like this: an enormous capacity for love and nurturing that gets quietly weaponized against you, either by people who take without giving back or by your own internal voice that tells you your needs are too much, your feelings too intense, your vulnerability too inconvenient. So you retreat into the shell. You protect yourself with humor or silence, or that particular brand of emotional unavailability that even you don't always recognize in yourself. But today, with the Aries sun blazing at 7 degrees directly opposite the full moon in your 4th house, the shell isn't holding anymore. The light is getting in, and I believe that's a good thing, even if it doesn't feel like it right now. This full moon is asking Cancer to let what is full become full, to stop containing the emotion and let it move, because on the other side of that release is not chaos. It's solid ground. The 10th house, Aries sun, is also activating your sense of purpose, your public self, the way you want to be seen in the world. And here's what I find so beautiful about this axis for Cancer today. The healing of your private emotional world is directly connected to your ability to show up with integrity in your outer world. You can't separate the two. Today, they come into alignment. What about the other signs? You're not left out. If you're a Taurus, this full moon is hitting your 6th and 12th house axis. You're being asked to look at what daily patterns have been draining your vitality, and what hidden resentments have been living quietly beneath your surface calm. Gemini, this is your 5th and 11th house. You're healing wounds around creative expression in relationships, where you've played small, hidden your brilliance, or stayed in connections where your mind wasn't truly celebrated. Virgo, this is your 2nd and 8th house, and this one is deep. You're healing the wound around your own worth and whether you've let intimacy be transactional, because some part of you believed you had to earn love through usefulness. Scorpio, this full moon activates your 5th and 11th house. Your healing today is around joy and the fear of actually letting yourself want things without bracing for the loss. Sagittarius, 4th and 10th house. You're healing the wound of feeling rootless, of not knowing where home is inside yourself when the adventure stops. Capricorn, 3rd and 9th house. You're healing the stories you've told yourself about what's realistic in relationships, the beliefs that were handed to you and that you accepted as truth. Aquarius, 2nd and 8th house. The wound around emotional reciprocity, giving your energy freely while quietly wondering if anyone will ever choose to give it back. Pisces, 1st and 7th house. The wound of disappearing into other people, of merging so completely that you lose the thread of your own self. We are all inside this full moon. The 3 signs I focused on are receiving the most direct, most immediate liberation. But everyone, every single sign, is being asked today to look at what the relationship axis of their chart has been holding. And I think that's extraordinary. This isn't a full moon that's coming for one part of your life. It's coming for the whole architecture of how you love and how you let yourself be loved. Now, I want to talk about what happens after today because I think it matters. Full moons don't just crack things open and disappear. The illumination stays with you. The things that get seen tonight don't go back into the shadows so easily. Over the next 2 weeks, as the moon begins to wane, you're going to be in an integration phase. Things that came to the surface today, conversations, realizations, emotional releases, those will be asking you to act on them. Not reactively, not explosively, but with the measured clarity of someone who has finally seen the full picture. The Aries sun is moving through the sky with its typical forward momentum, and its energy through the rest of the month is going to support the kind of courageous action that usually follows a full moon revelation. The question isn't whether you saw something true today. The question is whether you'll be brave enough to let it change you. Because the real work of a Libra full moon isn't just about what you release, it's about what you decide to stop tolerating. It's about the new standard you set. Not just in your relationships with others, but in the relationship you have with yourself. If you've been the person who waits to be chosen, today is the day you start choosing yourself first. If you've been performing peace while privately falling apart, today is the day you let the performance end. And if you've been holding everything together while quietly wondering when someone is going to hold you, today, that question doesn't go back into the dark. It stays where you can finally do something about it. Here's what I want to leave you with. This full moon is a portal. It is open right now, and it will only work if you are actually willing to step through it. The Libra moon is going to surface what has been unbalanced. The Aries sun is going to remind you who you are beneath all the accommodation and compromise. And when those two things meet, when the truth of the scales confronts the fire of the self, something shifts. You can look away. You can push the feelings back down. You can tell yourself it's not the right time, that you need more information, that things will sort themselves out, or you can sit with it. You can feel what's actually there. You can let yourself grieve the times you were dismissed, overlooked, taken for granted, or simply not seen for who you are. Because the healing begins exactly there, not in the resolution, in the acknowledgement. In the moment you say, that wasn't okay. I deserved more than that, and I'm not willing to keep accepting less. Today's full moon is offering you that turning point, especially if you're Libra, Aries, or Cancer. But honestly, this invitation is for everyone watching right now. This is your chance to close the chapter on the version of you that confused self-sacrifice with love, the version that made themselves smaller to make others feel bigger, the version that kept the peace at the expense of their own truth. And I know it's uncomfortable. I know the thing the full moon illuminates isn't always the thing we were hoping to see. But what is on the other side of this? When you're no longer operating from a wound, when you're no longer performing in your relationships while quietly starving inside, that version of you is magnetic. That version of you is free. If you made it all the way here, I want you to know. I genuinely appreciate you being in this space with me. If this landed for you, hit subscribe so you don't miss the next one. And please drop a comment below right now. Tell me what sign you are and what this full moon is bringing up for you today. Are you Libra, Aries, or Cancer? What have you been feeling as this lunation has been building? I read every single comment, and I think we are all moving through this together in real time. Take care of yourself today. Let what is full be full. Let what has been hidden be seen, and I will see you in the next one.